Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So how do we treat our enemies? One day long ago, when things were looking darkest for the free world, a man named Adolf Hitler was addressing a large audience in Germany. On the front row sat a man of pronounced Semitic appearance. Following his address, Hitler came down from the platform, walked up to this man, and said, "While I was speaking, you were laughing. What were you laughing about?" The man replied, "I was not laughing, I was thinking." "Well, what were you thinking about?" asked Hitler. "I was thinking about my people, the Jews, and that you are not the first man who didn't like us. A long time ago, there was another man who didn't like us. His name was Pharaoh, and he put heavy burdens on us down there in Egypt. But for years, we Jews have had a feast called Passover, and at that feast, we have a little three-cornered cake, and we eat that cake in memory of Pharaoh. Years later, there was another man who didn't like us. His name was Haman, and he did his best to get rid of all the Jews throughout the realm of King Ahasuerus. But for years, we Jews have had another feast called the Feast of Purim, and at that feast, we have a little four-cornered cake, and we eat that cake in memory of Haman. And while you were up there speaking, sir, I was sitting here thinking and wondering what kind of cake we were going to eat to remember you by. How shall we treat our enemies? This Jewish gentleman was on the right track. There was once a shepherd boy who became a legendary soldier. But after a brief time of service, he made a very powerful enemy. The shepherd boy was named David. The powerful enemy was a king of Israel named Saul. You remember the story. The crowds chanted, "Saul has killed his thousands. David has killed his 10,000s." From 1 Samuel 18, verse 7. And Saul was consumed with envy and hatred. He chased David all over the wilderness, seeking to take his life. On one occasion, in the desert of Ziph, Saul took 3,000 soldiers with him for the express purpose of hunting David down and killing him. It was on this mission that one night while Saul was sleeping, David slipped into his tent under the cover of dark. There lay David's enemy asleep with his spear stuck in the ground near his head. The soldier who had accompanied David on this clandestine mission said to him, "Today God has delivered your enemy into your hands. Now let me pin him to the ground with one thrust of my spear." But David would have none of it. In his eyes, Saul was God's anointed. So David took the spear and water jug near to Saul's head, and they left. Then David crossed over to the other side and stood on top of the hill some distance away. There was a wide space between them. "Here is the king's spear," David answered. "Let one of your young men come over and get it. The Lord rewards every man for his righteousness and faithfulness. The Lord delivered you into my hands today, but I would not lay a hand on the Lord's anointed." Interesting insight into David's character. David was not always merciful to his enemies, but at least on this occasion, David's faith in God was more important than either his desire for vengeance or his concern for his own safety. So he spared Saul's life. Imagine that. He let his faith determine how he treated his enemy. How should we treat our enemy? Do you have any enemies? Most people do. We might think of them as enemies, but let me ask you, is there anyone who mistreats you at work? Anyone at school? Perhaps someone in your own family? Is there anyone you feel takes advantage of you? How do you feel about people with different political philosophies from your own? There's a great political divide in our land today. It's not unusual for people on the left and people on the right to regard each other with disdain. During the Watergate scandal, you'll remember, some of you will remember, President Nixon had an enemies list. Now, people in Washington who found that they were on that list were highly complimented. It was an honor to know that the president hated you. Do you have an enemies list? How do you treat the people on that list? There's an old Irish blessing that goes like this. May God bless those who love us and those who do not love us. May he turn their hearts, and if he does not turn their hearts, may he turn their ankles so we know them by their limping. Do you have any enemies? How do you treat them? Does your faith affect how you treat those who have done you wrong? Jesus laid a heavy burden on his followers when he said, "Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, Pray for those who mistreat you. If someone strikes you on one cheek, turn to him the other also. If someone takes your cloak, do not stop him from taking your tunic. Give to everyone who asks you, and if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect a repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners. Expect to be repaid in full, but love your enemies. Do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, because he is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. This teaching puts us all under judgment, doesn't it? Who among us is able to live out this teaching? Somebody pulls out in front of you or on the interstate, what's your first reaction? Yes, brother, Jesus loves you and I love you. Someone at work gets credit for an idea that was rightfully yours. Yes, sister, I'm glad you're getting the credit. There's more than enough to go around. You find somebody who's been saying bad things about you behind your back. That's all right. That's all right, friend. You can just put me down as a character reference on your resume. It's easy to love your enemies, isn't it? To do good to them? To lend to them without expecting anything back? Sure. Sure. If you believe that, I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona that I can get you a real deal on. It's a good thing that God loves us, even when we are imperfect, because all of us would fail this test. The desire to lash out, to exact some measure of revenge on people who have wronged us, can sometimes be overwhelming. There was a news report sometime back from Japan about a man named Susumi Suzuki, age 45, who was arrested and charged with having made approximately 8,500 phone calls to City Hall, as many as several hundred a day, and then hanging up without speaking. He cited as his motive a 20-year-old snub by City Hall when he applied for a job after graduating from college. That's a little extreme, but it does illustrate how easily we can become swept up in the need to return evil for evil. It is not easy to love our enemies, whether on a personal level or a corporate one. In light of continuing threats to our security, many Americans are having difficulty with their feelings toward followers of Islam. Even though a relatively tiny number of adherents of this ancient religion are involved in acts of terror, our fear might cause us to generalize our hatred to the entire population. And that would be wrong. It is true, of course, that the fundamentalist followers of Muhammad are sometimes very difficult to love. Writer Salman Rushdie first gained the public eye because he had a bounty on his head. Why? For writing words critical of the Prophet, even though he's a Muslim himself. It was a harsh reminder that you can be killed in some parts of the world just for asking questions or expressing doubts. Of course, there was a time when that was true in the Christian world too, but we conveniently forget that. It was amusing to read that Islamic fundamentalists in Kuwait a few years back issued a fatwa against Barbie dolls. This she-devil had polished nails and wears skirts above the knee, says Kuwait's College of Islamic Sharia. The fatwa against Barbies commences immediately. That seems a little extreme. It's not the first time, of course, the Gulf has banned Western products. Just a year before, Saudi Arabia and Iran bared satellite dishes for the sinful images they import. 30 years ago, Saudi Arabia's senior religious authority declared the earth was flat and outlawed globes. It is very difficult for us to relate to such a religion, and yet relate to it we must. For if we do not, if we hate people simply because of their religion, we become exactly like the people who hate us so much. If we return evil for evil, what separates us from sinners? Asked Jesus. In 1959, Hollywood produced an epic motion picture titled Ben-Hur, starring Charlton Heston. It was well known for the exciting chariot race at the end. At the time, Ben-Hur was the most expensive Hollywood movie ever made. In the movie, based on a Lew Wallace book, an old friend named Masala has become Judah Ben-Hur's enemy. Because of Masala's evil doing, Ben-Hur is captured and forced into service down in the galley of a slave ship. Meanwhile, his mother and sister are sent off to prison. Ben-Hur loses contact with them and later is told that They are dead. Judah ben-Hur returns to Israel intent on one thing: revenge. Because of Messiah, he has lost everything. And now he lived for one thing: to avenge himself upon Messiah. This passion consumes Ben-Hur to such an extent that his sweetheart Esther, looking into his tortured eye, exclaims, "Judah ben-Hur, you have become a Messiah." That's what hatred does to us. It is impossible to have the Spirit of Christ within us and at the same time to have a spirit of hatred for any other human being. And yet, it is so hard not to have ill feelings toward those who have wronged us. Truthfully, every one of us will fail this test at some time or another. In fact, that's the point our Lord is making in our lesson today. Note his words: love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great. You will be sons of the Most High, because he is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. We could show grace to others only because God has given grace to us. We love because we have been loved, not because we deserve that love, but because of the character of God. God is love, and those who have God within them are possessed by the Spirit of love. That is our only hope. That is the world's only hope, that the Spirit of Christ will one day dwell in every heart. Then there will be no wars, no terrorism, no hatred. That is our hope. Our only hope as followers of Christ. Do you see any other hope? We keep killing terrorists, and more terrorists step in the line behind them. Mole whacking is what some of the soldiers call it. You whack one mole in your yard, and another sticks his head up in another part of the yard. Violence may keep the enemy at bay, but it will not solve the problem. Only the love of Christ can do that. TV news reporter Peter Arnett was visiting the West Bank in Israel when a bomb exploded in the middle of the street. He was surrounded by anguished screams and clouds of smoke. A man holding an injured girl ran up to Peter and asked for a ride to the hospital. As they sped through the streets, the man nursed the bloody girl in the back seat. The doctors did everything to save the girl's life, but to no avail. Peter turned to comfort the man on the loss of his child, but the man interrupted him. "She wasn't his child," he said. "She was a Palestinian. He was Israeli. He found her lying in the street and decided to help." "Mister," he said through his tears, "there must come a time when we realize that we are all family." Do you know of any other hope? I don't. How do you treat your enemies? Jesus said to love them. Think what might happen if we, like the shepherd soldier young David, let our religion affect how we regard those who would do us wrong. The whole world might be changed. The whole world might be changed. Amen. All right, announcements. Announcements. Join the church and leave a legacy of helping others. Okay. If you haven't done it so yet, please go to your Apple Play Store, or Apple Play Store. Is that right? Apple Store? Apple App Store, Apple Play Store? Apple Store and Google Play Store. That's it. Apple Store and Google, the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, and download the Pray.com app. I go there every day. I post a nice little prayer for us. It's nothing too elaborate. Just something for you to get through your day. It's just something to remind you, that we're thinking about you and you're thinking about us, and hopefully we're praying for each other. Also, it's a great place if you want to do your weekly tithing. You can do that through the app here. You can use your credit card or your checking account. That way you don't have to actually necessarily have cash, which people seem to have less and less of these days. It's all on credit and credit cards and things now. So that's why we're doing that. So make sure you go and download that if you haven't done so already. Okay. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints. Very simple. Just email feedback@DallasULC.com. Feedback@DallasULC.com. That's pretty self-explanatory, guys. You got any of those things or anything you want to talk to us about? Feedback@DallasULC.com. Request for prayers. Now, we pray every day here at Dallas Universal Life Church. If you would like us to pray for you or for something you need prayed for, simply give us an email. Again, pray@DallasULC.com. Pray@DallasULC.com. You can choose to remain anonymous, or you can give us your name. You can have us just pray for you during our regular weekly, our daily prayers. Or you can ask, anybody? You can ask for us to pray for you during our weekly prayers, or you can ask that you have your intercession entered into our bulletin and prayed for by the entire community on Sunday. Again, you can remain anonymous or choose to give us your name. Also, we do offer services to be dedicated for dedication. That's for either ones who have passed on or for ones who are still with us, for graduation, for birthdays, for St. Patrick's Day. I don't know. It's a great gift. Seriously, all we ask is for a small donation for the church to cover the cost of that service. So think about that. Think about somebody who deserves some honor and a little bit of praise, and think about giving dedicating a mass to them. Okay. All right. Hey, did y'all know we had a podcast? We've got a podcast. Okay, pretty self-explanatory here again. I mean, you guys, everything that we have you do right here is on our podcast plus extras. So if you haven't had a chance to go listen to the podcast, I encourage you to do so. It's a totally different experience than either being here in the church or watching us on YouTube. It's just different. I can't explain it. I catch something different every time I hear it a different way, a different medium. So it's kind of cool. Go check it out. All you have to do is listen to us on Anchor, Pocket Casts, Stitcher, Radio Public, Apple Podcast, Overcast, Castbox, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or listen to us on TuneIn. If you don't want to remember all that, just go to your Google site or go to your MSN site or your Bing or whatever it is and type in Your Path with Bishop Mark. That's Your Path with Bishop Mark. Simply do a search. Your Path with Bishop Mark. Okay. I'll hit that one more time, I think. There we go. We rely, our podcast, our YouTube, everything we do here is all done because of you and through your support. And we would not be here without the support of others. But I have to tell you, it's tough. And this is the least favorite part of my job, but I have to ask you for some money, if you can help us out. Our podcast especially, you can become a supporter of Your Path with Bishop Mark. Again, I'll read you what it says here. We rely on donations to survive. Please support this podcast with a small monthly donation to help sustain future episodes. We greatly appreciate your support. God bless you. There's 3 different options here. There's 99 cents per month, $4.99 per month, and $9.99 per month. None of them get you anything different. I'm going to tell you that straight up. It's all about just what you are able to give to the church and help us with our podcast. It costs us quite a bit of money to do this. I mean, believe it or not, I'm not just standing up here talking in a room. We've got lights, we've got cameras, we've got computers. It takes a lot to make this thing work, and I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're getting something from it. I hope you're going closer to God, but we could use your help as well. So to do that, you simply go to anchor.fm/bishopmark/support. One more time, that's anchor.fm/bishopmark/support, and help us out with your donation. We greatly appreciate it. We need that to survive. Without that, we will not be here. Okay? All right, moving on. Okie doke. We had our big announcement last week about Pride. Yes, we'll be marching in the Pride Parade this year for the first time. For the first time ever, also, it will be held at Fair Park, which would be interesting. So go ahead and click that button again for me if you would. It's only 98 days. 98 days until we march. And that's 98 days is not a long time. It's going to be on us before you know it. I have ordered the banner. The banner will be here actually tomorrow. The T-shirts I'm in the process of designing. And I still have a couple other little things to do, but we need your help. So get people to join us. Friends, family, supporters. Look, like I said, we're a small church, and we have a pretty big place in the line here, and there's going to be a lot of bigger churches out there. That's okay. If we have just one person marching, it gets us out there. It gets out something we're doing. We're getting our name out there. We're getting people realize that something's different going on over here, and hopefully they can come over and check us out. But I'd just rather obviously have a strong showing here. So we need your help. Ask some of your family members. Marching in the Pride Parade is an honor, and it's a great way to support your fellow man. So get some other people out here to help us out. Okay, maybe you can bring them to church too. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? All right. Again, we're in a strong showing. This is our first year, and it's going to be at Fair Park. Fair Park's a big place. So we need to have it. That's okay. That's all right. Go ahead. It's okay. We need to have you out there. All right. That's all right. We went forward a little bit. He's trying to get me moving here. All right. All right, folks. One more announcement here. Guess what? It's already that time of year. I think I said it just a few weeks ago. Before long, it's going to be Easter. Well, before long, it's going to be Easter. Ash Wednesday, which is the beginning of Lent. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. I'm going to give you plenty of time to know this. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. March the 6th. It's already March, guys. Can you believe that? Did we just have New Year's? We just did New Year's, right? March the 6th, 2019 at 7 p.m. That's on a Wednesday, 7 p.m. we'll have Ash Wednesday services, and that service will have the disposition of the ashes, which just means we're going to put the ashes on your forehead. Okay, we'll have Holy Communion, and then we'll have the Bishop's Round Table afterwards. Please join us. Ash Wednesday is always a good service. It's moving, and it's the beginning of Lent, which is the time of introspection. It's an introspective look at yourself. It's time to kind of take your moral inventory, take inventory on yourself, take a look at, are you doing what you need to be doing? Are you doing what God expects you to be doing? Are you on the right path? That's what it's all about, guys. Are you on the right path? This is time to do that. So get ready for Lent. It's coming up. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, Ash Wednesday, 7 p.m. Okay? I think that's it, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okie doke. Well, we're going to do something a little different today. For one reason or another, our round table is not very popular today. So, in light of the fact that we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary, I thought today that we would take some time to maybe meet one of our congregants. And this is a very special congregant we have here with us today. He is what I call the inaugural congregant, the founding congregant. Is his official title in the church, I believe. He was here from day one. I'm not sure he knew what he was getting into when I asked him to come in and celebrate Mass with me on that Christmas day a little over 2 years ago. But he's still here, thank God. And let me introduce you to Tim Cole here. Now, if you ever come to church here, you'll hear those names over and over and over again, because I say that name probably 30 million times before the service starts, trying to get him to help me do things. And he does that. He's very good at what he does when it comes to being attentive to me. And he's learned a lot.
Someone has to do it.
Somebody does have to do it. And he's learned a lot since he's been here. I think that I kind of threw him into the fire, basically, and said, learn it. And he did. So, Timothy, first of all, welcome. Let me ask you, tell me your roles here at the church.
Well, being on the Altar Guild, I help.
You're the head of the Altar Guild.
The head of the Altar Guild, too. Where's my parking space? No.
Yeah, where's mine?
I pretty much do everything involved with the prep work. Rearranging the furniture and setting up the altar and all that entails in that.
That's a lot. There's a lot there. I mean, it's very detailed. I mean, you get candles, incense,
the communion, supplies.
Everything ready on the linens. All of it's going to be done.
Setting up the tripods and everything, and putting the teleprompters where they need to be, and making sure they're connected and all that. And I always seem to forget something, but
we always do. But we have those lists, and then I tell you what, I have more trouble getting you guys to follow those lists than anything. But you ask for a list, I give you a list, and I don't know. I just don't know. I want to ask you about something. It's something that some people ask about me and about the way I do things. And there's a certain aspect that we do here. It usually happens on Saturday nights before service, and that's our floors. And I'm very adamant about the floors and the way that they're done, and the waxing and the polishing of our floors. Mm-hmm. Why do I do that?
Well, I think because you have very high standards. There's nothing wrong with that. And also, you have I don't know if it originates with you or if you heard it elsewhere, but it's the adage that if you have a clean and shiny floor, then that speaks to the keeping of your household and the keeping of your church and congregation and everything. And
I think that's true. I think if you walk into a place or a home or a place of business and they have a filthy, dirty floor, it tells you something about that place.
Right. It's your first impression of the space, if you will.
Yeah.
And you want to create a good one.
If my floor is clean, probably the rest of the house is clean.
Sir.
Most likely. Yeah. Let's hope.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you're out anywhere, no matter where it is, and you see dirty floors, and your mind instantly goes to and it'd be a distraction. We don't need any distractions when we're supposed to be here in the service of the Lord and everything. And so,
the biggest thing I think that I try, the reason yes, I want clean floors, obviously, and I want to be the best impression we can give for people here, but it's also a lesson in discipline. It's not fun doing these floors. I mean, the waxing and stripping of the wax, and because it's just not fun. I mean, it's messy and it's
Right.
nasty and it's wet and it's gross and you got to sweep and wash it down and clean it up and then clean it up again and clean it up again and clean it up again until you finally, after it's finally clean, then you got to put some more stuff on it. You know,
Right.
there's a lesson there.
Yeah.
It's about discipline. It's about, you know, you miss one little step and it's not right. It's got to be redone all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's important to follow those steps in order, take one at a time and get them done. And I think there's a lesson to be learned in all of that.
And hopefully I've learned it by now because my
You're
blood, sweat, and tears are in these floors.
They are, and they look much better. They do.
Yeah.
They look very, very good. We put another rug down and covered up part of the floors, kind of saved some of the work for you, I guess. But nevertheless, it's still a very important job here at the church. Whenever needed, you're over there doing the AV for us. Sometimes we have people here to do that. Sometimes we don't. And I appreciate that. That's taken some time. And we've had some issues, as we saw in last year's anniversary video.
Excuse me. Mine was a steady hand that held the camera that first time.
Yours was a lot of things that first time. We had issues. Who doesn't? I mean, and neither one of us have done this before. So for us to jump in like that and do it, it was uncharted territory for all of us. So I mean, we had to learn how to work with each other and how to work with the equipment and how to deal with it and just how to keep moving.
But I'm very, very proud, and I consider myself lucky that I was the one that was there the first time. And
I'm proud to have you, and I'm proud that you were as well. I think that somebody had to be there,
yeah.
And I'm glad it was you. I mean, from the very beginning, I mean, you helped with the original video we made for the church when we first started, and I came up with this crazy idea to start a church. And here we are, almost 3 years later. 3 years later. So let me ask you about that. It's been 3 years almost. How has the church affected your life? What has it done for you, against you, made it better, made it worse? What has it done? What's it been like being a member, the founding member of this church over the last 3 years?
Well, before coming to this church, I really had given up on really, or at least put my religious life on hold. Growing up Church of Christ, I really just felt like I was cut off from that, you know, and I really had decided not to really pursue any kind of religious, life, because I consider it a very big deal to do that, and
absolutely.
And so I didn't want to go into it half.
Go ahead.
But so to speak. And so I was really thankful to come here, and at first it was to help out a friend, but then it also I also opened my heart up to it, and I'm glad I did. I'm very glad I did. So it gave me a sense of purpose, but also gave me my relationship with the Lord back, I guess. And
I hope so.
It did.
And I see a difference in you. I do. Spirituality changes people. Look, I'll be very honest with you. Tim and I have our ups and our downs. I mean, we're together quite a bit here working on this, and it gets tense. Things get frustrating. Things get, tempers flare, especially mine. And I'm sorry for that, but I am human also. And we make it through it. We realize that, there's a reason. Tim finally understands something about me that most people don't necessarily get. And that when I raise my voice, when I get, get loud, or I get upset about something, it's not necessarily because I'm getting upset about you. I'm upset because I'm so emphatic about what I believe in. And I'm so driven on making this work. And Tim can take a licking and keep on ticking. I've it's not always fair to him. He sometimes is the sounding board for some of my frustrations, and I thank you for that. I'm sorry that I do that. I'm working on it, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We're a small church, trying to get bigger, and it's just we've got those growing pains just hitting us. We're right at that point where we want to get, and getting over that hurdle there has just been really tough.
We're going to get over it, though. It's going to happen.
So this year we're going to march in Pride. In fact, the same weekend that we're celebrating our 3rd year anniversary is Pride weekend.
Oh, very excited about
So
that.
it's going to be a big weekend for all of us. What are your thoughts on us marching in the Gay Pride Parade this year?
Well, I can't tell you how happy I am that we're doing that. I think it's going to be pivotal, and I think it's going to be change. I think it's going to change it in a big way. I don't know. I guess the church has a life, but the only phrase I can come up with is life changing. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a turning point, and a jumping off point for our church. And
I hope so.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
honestly, it could go either way. We could get out there and just look like total buffoons, which I don't think is going to happen.
Right. Well, the good thing about that was, at Pride. I mean, but still.
Still, we have a certain level of decorum to hold up.
Of course.
And
I don't only see it doing it, and I don't see it doing anything but positive.
I hope so. It's been a struggle to get the money to go to this, and then people don't realize, it costs us $300 just for the entry fee, and then we have things like banners and signs and this and that and T-shirts, and we don't have that money.
Yeah.
We don't have it, and so it's for us to do something like this is really big, and it's hopefully it's not just to go to Pride. It is to go to Pride. That's the most important thing, is to support our gay, lesbian, transgendered brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
But it's also to help us get out there, so those people and other people alike, everybody can see that we are an all welcoming, all affirming, open door church for people to come to, and that's what we're here for. If we don't get our name out there and let people know we're here, we're not doing any good. We're helping each other, but the point is to grow, to spread the word, and to get people to see that we've got something a little different here. So I think you're right. I think it's going to be an impressive change turnaround.
Don't forget, it's also my launch pad to become an international film star.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know what to say to that. I really don't. I thought I made you an international film star when we did the movie last year.
I hadn't told you that yet.
Remember that? How'd you feel about that? Last year, okay, let me explain it to you. Last year, for the 2-year anniversary, I decided to do a little blooper reel of all of our things that have happened that have just made us shake our heads. Tim had a habit, and still does at times, of especially when he's sitting in the front row here, he wants to make sure that you understand that he's listening, that he's hearing you. So he shakes his head constantly, So I dubbed over the voice and just had him from the back. You can see his head just shaking, me talking, his head just shaking. I was going, Dubbed it into the video. I'll show a clip over here, of course. Change in service. So next Sunday will be at 11 a.m. rather than 15. I do apologize for the short notice. I am going to be away on a meeting, and I cannot be here. So best thing for us to do is just jump up a little bit to 11 o'clock. I think y'all can 11 o'clock. Okay. That's going to be interesting. So we'll have to think about that as well. Why are you letting me know that now? Yeah, I think I must have missed that. Well, no, it's actually talking about the week after that as well. So what we'll do is, okay, so let's just do that now. Starting next Sunday, we'll do a 11 o'clock service. The Sunday after, 11 o'clock service. What does that make the next Sunday after that?
Oh, my back. Oh,
Okay. Next Sunday's what? Next Sunday's what? Next Sunday's also what, though? Let's stop for that for a second. Next Sunday's what? Pentecost. I want church. The birthday. The birthday of church. Okay. I want. Okay, and then so the next Sunday we should be. Okay, so for the remainder of the month of May, we will meet at 11 o'clock on Sunday. Then on June the 3rd, which will be a big day for us because we're celebrating our 2-year anniversary as a church. Go back to 3 o'clock service. Bake like something we baked for what's his name back there? I'm just playing with you, Tim. The cake was actually very good. It was just.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't what I expected. I really wasn't. Let's not even go there. Okay. But so there it was. What did that make you feel like when you saw that? I remember what you said to me. Let's see if you can remember what you said. But what did that make you feel like when you saw that for the first time?
Well, I'm always so thankful of you to have you in my life to throw these up in my face so eloquently and subtle in such a subtle manner.
Yes.
But it never has someone's habit, been thrown at them quite so jarringly.
Oh, come on! It's not like I took a picture of you in your underwear or something and put it online. Come on now.
No, I didn't know I did it that fervently. I didn't know that. Although I don't know what's so wrong with it. I mean, I agree with I'm agreeing with you so emphatically.
Here's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
If you're going like this and going in your head, you're not hearing a word I'm saying.
Yeah.
All you're hearing is
Right, yeah. And I didn't realize that.
And you're doing better. You're better at it. You're working on it. I'm not believe me, I'm not trying to judge you on that. I'm just. It's just when you watch it on video, it can be rather distracting. You know?
I'm sure. I realized that, yeah, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. Honestly,
I know you didn't.
So I'm glad that you showed me, because otherwise, I would have looked like a.
So falling asleep in church. It happens. It's happened to you.
It does happen.
It's happened to Michael today, unfortunately. What's that like?
Well, unfortunately, it's not something you know that you're doing until you've done it, it's embarrassing, obviously, and especially if you're the one time I was supposed to be doing the video or the
teleprompter. You fell asleep in the middle of me doing my sermon, and the teleprompter went to screensaver in the middle of the sermon, and I was like, and what did I say? Tim. He goes, "Oh my God." Yeah, that was probably one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
I know I work you to death. I do, and I have to take some of the blame for that, because I don't give you much rest when you're over here. But I appreciate what you do. Let me just ask you this: the future of this church, it depends on what we do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ours for the taking. Where do you see, if we're still around in 5 years? Let's hope we are. If we're still around 5 years, where do you see this church at that point? We're here 3 almost. Yeah. So think about that. Just 5 years from now, our 8th year anniversary coming up. 8 years. 8 years. Where do you see this church?
Well, I see it still definitely doing the online stuff. I obviously see it still do. You can't do the online and not do the in-person experience, or what you will call it in the sanctuary and everything. I see us all, in a different location, maybe not the huge,
No, I don't think so either.
Mega church type deal, but obviously, but we don't even want that. But definitely in our own little space, and excuse me, and but with an expanded online presence,
even more expanded than we have now.
Yeah,
really,
so definitely.
Good.
With someone hopefully in a official role as some kind of assistant for you, or deacon.
That'd be nice.
Or if you will.
At least that, if I'm still in charge. If I'm still running things around here.
Like anyone else would be in charge.
Oh, no. You know what, look, here's let me address that, just very quickly. Yes, I created this church. Yes, it's my brainstorm. But when we became a corporation, it's no longer mine anymore. It belongs to the corporation. It's the corporation's job to run it and take care of it. They can vote me out and to fire me if they wanted to completely. I can take it away from me. Yeah. And that's part of the, but I mean, I don't think it would, right now I don't think it would do any good, because I think I'm about the one that has the most passion for it, unfortunately. I wish there was somebody with as much or more passion than me. I wish we all had it. But that's okay, we'll get there. But look, the pastor's position, the head of the church position, is not there for life, necessarily. I hope in some way in the future that I always have some sort of capacity in this church, have some sort of role in this church. I think I will. But there's always a spot for somebody to take my place. I mean, there's always, if somebody's better, please. For the betterment of the church, absolutely, come take my place. I encourage that. I mean, there's other things I can do. I've learned a lot about my own talents and what I can do. I think you have as well. Back to that. Okay, so in 5 years, I'll be turning 50. Yeah. And
okay, so at least as long as your salinity holds, we'll
my salinity, yeah. Well, I'm still worried about that now. But okay, so where do you see yourself in 5 years from now with the church in respect to your role here at the church?
Well, I still here. With a defined role. I'm not sure what that role would be, but I would, I never thought necessarily. I'm not sure what that role would be, if it would be background or, I'm sure background, but with a defined role that I'm able to keep, that I'm able to hold on to, and that I'm able to do with all my ability and to be successful at, and to make the church proud to have me in.
The church is proud of you, Tim, and I want you to understand that. We're grateful to have you here. Without you, we wouldn't have been here. I mean, I just understand that. Without you, this church would not exist.
Thank you.
You are, I mean, that's a lot to carry on your shoulders. But look, I think it's a lot to think about the next 5 years, where it's going, where we're going, and I think that I hope that you'll be a part of it. I think you will be. We've got some great things happening here in the future, and I see some big things for us.
Definitely.
But of course, the most important thing is that we're getting the message out, getting the Word of God and the all-inclusive love of God out there for people to understand, and to show them that there's another way of life and a Christianity that is the true meaning of the word, not the Christianity that is out there today.
Amen.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Now, you have a beef with me all the time. It's about my music choices. Yeah, go contemporary. I want more contemporary. And then you bring up this one song. What is it? What is the song? How's it go? I saw it today. That's why I'm bringing it up. I saw it online.
Is the Up from the Grave? Or is
Up from the Grave.
Or is it
Up from the grave he rose.
With a mighty shouts for his foes. It's a perfectly
It's
nice
very, very
song.
nice for preschool.
Well, aren't we trying to get a wider demographic?
Yeah, I mean, come on, bring your kids. I mean, honestly, yeah, it'd be great.
He is yet to play it, and I think an online, you know, the people out there, please write in, and you'll see the address.
The problem is, and the other problem is, he wants me to play it like during Christmas. You know, okay, an Easter song about Jesus rising from the dead is not proper during Christmas time. It just doesn't work, Tim. So I had to throw that one in there because it was just that's one we've got an ongoing debate on. Is this one song, and it's just it gives me actually makes me cringe when I hear the song.
Okay.
I'm sorry, whoever wrote it. I'm sorry.
If you won't play that one, then at least play "Devil Be Talking."
Again,
You know,
yeah.
give me something.
Well, the devil is talking. Let me tell you. Talking through that song. Anyway, no, I digress.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just get down to it real quick. The church and you. I've already asked you what you think the church has done for you. If the church hadn't been here the last 3 years, would your life be better or worse?
Definitely worse. Definitely, I think. Definitely. I mean, I always need a purpose. I always need a place, you know, or something, and and so it's definitely given me that, and definitely not as. No, definitely not as good. Definitely. I think it'd be worse. For sure. Because I definitely don't think I would have sought it out elsewhere.
No, I don't think so either.
Church, you know, I don't think I would have gone looking elsewhere.
Church and Tim Cole. A combination you'll never forget.
No matter how hard you try.
I know. You're stuck in my head forever. Tim Cole, our inaugural, our what's the word I use? Founding congregate. Here for us, for the legislative service to the church for the last 3 years. And I want to thank you, and thank you for being here for the church. Thank you for being here for me, personally. And thank you for all that you do behind the scenes that really doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Let's hope for another great 3 years. Let's hope for those 5 years where we're in that little space and enjoying some of this hard work that we're doing right now.
Definitely.
Continue to get that word out.
Yes, sir.
All right, Tim Cole, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. All right, guys. Next week at 3 o'clock we'll be here. It is I know it's a white color day. So just to warn you, white
Or
next
gold,
Sunday.
right? Yeah,
White
yeah.
or gold. What do you know what the service is?
Of course not.
Yeah, okay. I guess you'll have to tune in and find out. Next Sunday, 3 o'clock. Come join us. Come join us here at the church. If you can't join us here, catch us on our podcast. Catch us on YouTube. We're online. Your Path with Bishop Mark is our podcast. And Tim will be working his butt off back here behind the scenes some more.
Yes,
and
sir.
again, thank you very much, Tim.
My pleasure.
And ours as well. All right, thank you. We'll see you next week.